I'm Dr. Joseph M.T., Department of Sociology, University of Mumbai. This is the e-Pathshala project on religion and society. We are going into module 14, which is titled Ritual and Worship in India. Now, in this module, we look at ritual and worship, as I just said. What is ritual and what is worship? It is divided into 4 sections. In the first section, we look at general introduction of what is ritual and what is worship. In the second section, we look at life cycle rituals and the kind of analysis that has already been there on that. In the third section, we look at the matters of caste and gender that come to play in ritual and worship. And in the last section, we look at syncretic practices of ritual and worship. Now, coming to ritual and worship. Ritual is very much part of religion, just as it is also part of culture. In religion, rituals are stylized performances. And these stylized performances in many religious contexts are the monopoly of ritual specialists. And ritual specialists perform these rituals for and on behalf of the community for whom they serve. And at the same time, rituals also have kind of limitations, limit who can do ritual at what time, in which space, and all of that. So there are notions of purity and pollution that gets attached to rituals and worship as well. Secondly, we come to the second section where we look at life cycle rituals. One of the most celebrated rituals across cultures and communities is life cycle rituals. A life cycle ritual is something that denotes a person's transition from one stage of life to another, such as birth, such as namkaran that we say in India, initiation or marriage or death or something or things of that sort. Now, each of these denote a person's transition from one stage of life to another. Now, life cycle rituals are analyzed in great detail by Van Gennep, Victor Turner and others, and we are going to examine their kind of analysis in this particular section. For example, Van Gennep talks about the way that in every life cycle rituals there are 3 stages: the before, the during and the after, and how Victor Turner takes this forward and applies the concept of liminality, the idea of the liminal space and the liminal time, and how he theorizes on that and brings about a very brilliant analysis of ritual, especially in the context of life cycle rituals. In the third section, as I said, we are looking at the aspect of gender and caste with regard to ritual. As I said before, rituals have in many cases a kind of a connection with notions of purity and pollution. And this is where gender and caste comes into play in a major way in the Indian context. There are ways in which certain caste groups are not allowed to even be part of or even be seen when certain rituals are performed. And then certain other rituals are the monopoly of certain other castes. And this is based on the notions of purity and pollution attached to caste and the notions of purity and pollution attached to the ritual performance as well. And at the same time, we see that it has also got a gender dimension. Women are debarred from certain rituals and certain worships and certain worship complexes due to certain kind of patriarchal notions of purity and pollution associated with menstrual cycle and things like that. So this is something, a kind of an exclusion, a complex of exclusion and inclusion with regard to caste and gender plays itself out in ritual complexes and worship patterns across religious kind of identities and communities in India. So we will look at it in a very, very detailed manner in section 3. In section 4, we come to a very interesting idea of syncretism. Syncretism again is an idea that has developed in the West, which looks at hybridity of religious practices, where people have developed practices which are borrowed from or which have its origin in the strict domains of different religions. Now, syncretic practices are very common in different parts of India with regard to ritual and with regard to worship. And there are a kind of debates, and there are many kind of discussions which are bordering on these kind of syncretic practices. So in this section we will look at such syncretic practices as well. So in a nutshell, we are looking at an entire gamut of studies that are available with regard to ritual and worship in India, beginning with what are these about, then about life cycle rituals and the ramifications of caste and gender, and ending with the syncretic kind of elements and syncretic kind of practices that have become part of ritual and worship in India. And this is exactly what we are going to see in this module. Understanding ritual. Ritual originates from Latin terms ritus and ritualis, which means connected to ceremony. Emil Durkheim, the sociologist, states and talks about three aspects of religion, and this is one way in which we can understand and explain ritual. Now, according to Durkheim, there are three main aspects to religion. One is beliefs, the second is a moral community, and third is a set of collective behavior. Now, beliefs, according to Durkheim, express the sacred and the profane. Or rather, the beliefs separate everything in the world to two categories. One is the sacred and the other is the profane. Then the second one, which is a moral community. According to Durkheim and later studies, this moral community can be a clan, a tribe, or a sect. And then the third one is a set of collective behaviors, which are rituals. Specifically on ritual, the studies done by Victor Turner. So Turner would say a ritual is a prescribed formal behavior for occasions not given over to technological routine, having reference to belief in mystical beings or powers. The symbol is the smallest unit of ritual. Now we go to the types of rituals. Number one, life cycle rituals. Life cycle rituals are rituals that people undergo at different stages of their life, which look at the different major happenings. Arnold van Gennep, who has been an authority who has done classical studies on rituals, discussed these rites as being universal to all societies, which means that all communities, all societies in the world have life cycle rituals. These are also called rites of passage. Now, rites of passage can also be a little different from life cycle rituals. Now, what, according to Van Gennep, makes up rites of passage are the three stages that he is calling: a stage of separation, a stage of transition, and a stage of incorporation. Now, rites of passage resolve life crisis. They provide a mechanism to deal with the tension experienced by both individuals and social groups during transitory occasions. For example, birth, attaining puberty, marriage, death, and the like. Victor Turner took this work forward by elaborating on the idea of liminality. So, taking the idea of liminal from Arnold van Gennep, Victor Turner theorized more on it and made these ideas more applicable to larger areas of life. Now, liminal comes from the Latin word which means threshold. This is the ambiguity in the middle stage of the rites of passage. Now, some case studies of rites of passage in India. You can look at a picture there which is showing the Hindu Upanayana initiation ceremony. Traditionally and classically, it marks the beginning of the Brahmacharya ashram. It's regarded as the second birth for a Hindu boy and invokes feelings of responsibility. However, one should notice that Upanayana ceremony is not for all Hindus but only limited to what are called the twice-born castes. Another case study is of what is called Eucharistic rituals. Now, Eucharistic rituals are enactment of important aspects of Christ's life for the Christians. Experiencing of the bread and the wine as body and blood if one is a Catholic, and it's a feast representing the body and blood of Christ for the Catholics. Now, in the ritual, you have bread, you have wine, and then you have, which are the physical kind of aspects, and the spiritual aspect is Christ. Now, let us look at religious ritual in India in a very general sense. Now, there could be religious rituals associated with sects, and there could be religious rituals associated with cult. Now, first, the sect. These emerge from already established religious institutions because of dissatisfaction, alienation from or criticism of the bigger group. Sects lay a claim to possess unique and privileged access to salvation. Examples of sects are Vaishnavism, Shaivism. The cult is in opposition to the prevailing culture and is marginal to that culture. The cult has no clear locus of final authority beyond the individual member. Now, the example of cult could be the Sai Baba cult or the cult of Kabir. Now, we look at the performance of caste in rituals. Homo hierarchicus by Louis Dumont remains a classical study. According to Homo hierarchicus, the way that he quotes from Purusha Sukta and other places is, as the Brahmins are placed at the top of the caste hierarchy due to their superior ritual purity. Lower caste groups have higher impurity, therefore the principle of purity and pollution. Dumont also very clearly mentions in his book that in the Indian philosophy there is a superiority given to ritual status, which is higher than the political status, or rather the Brahmin is more powerful than the king. Then there is the idea of performance of caste identity in terms of entry to the temple. Pujas conducted by whom can be seen and things like that. So, for example, who can be in the temple, who can do pujas in the temple, who are the people allowed at the entrance and who are not allowed at that entrance. All of these have got notions of ritual purity and impurity. It's also important to look at the exclusion of gender in certain rituals and certain ritualized locations. There's a clear division of roles between men and women when it comes to rituals. Men have specific rituals to be performed, and women have also rituals to be women have also their own specific rituals to be performed. For example, at the Sabarimala pilgrimage in Kerala, the male is the main actor, identifying with Ayyappa, the main deity. Women's role is overshadowed. No woman is allowed into the sanctum sanctorum of the temple. Number of protests here, for example, there have been recently protests against this exclusion of women in places like Sabarimala, at Shani Shingnapur temple and at Haji Ali Dargah. Women and Dalits are at the forefront of reformist religion. Now we go to the growing idea of inclusivity in ritual. Inclusivity has been at the core of religious rituals since the earliest times. Efforts from the times of Ram Mohan Roy, Vivekananda, to the emergence of Shirdi pilgrimage or the Swaminarayan Mandir are evidences of a more inclusive way of rituals incorporating different sections in the modern society. There still exists tension between those who emphasize exclusivity of ritual and those who oppose and resist such exclusions. Law plays an important role. For instance, the Jain Santara ritual has faced strong opposition in recent times. This becomes complex with the religious syncretism that has been quite evident in recent times. Ajmer Dargah, for instance, attracts devotees from different religious groups. Rituals continue to be a major pillar in Indian society, becoming a performative space for different structures such as caste, gender, etc., and yet providing and reaffirming community identity. Conclusion, Module 14. In this module, we have looked at ritual and worship in India. And we have looked at the way that ritual and worship in India from different religious practices and different religious communities, whether Hindu, Christian, Muslim or Buddhist or the other. Because ritual and worship are categories that can be studied separately or in a comparative manner. And there are different kind of socio-cultural modalities that we have brought into this analysis of ritual and culture. We have begun with classical studies that have been very important in this field, especially of Van Gennep and then of Victor Turner. Then if we have looked at very Indian kind of phenomenon, the way that caste and the differences of caste, as we know, one of the kind of principles which differentiates one caste from other is the principle of purity and pollution. And how does this actually infringe on the ritual complex? Then we have looked at gender. How are women debarred from certain rituals and certain worship, and even going near or going to the temples of certain deities, and how is this justified and how is this rationalized? So the stratifications based on caste and gender has its bearing on worship and ritual in India in different religious systems and practices. Then we have looked at in the last part, we looked at what is generally called as syncretism or hybridity of religious practices, where we looked at very fascinating examples of rituals which belong to different religious registers, and how these registers have compounded and come together in a very fascinating manner, and how people are investing their emotional energy into performance of these hybrid or syncretic rituals. And this is what we have seen in this module. Thank you.